This video is sponsored by Jerry's Artorama. Jerry's Artorama Online has been serving artists for over 50 years, providing only the best quality art supplies. Jerry's Artorama has premier lines that sell all over the world and are used by millions of artists and professionals worldwide for amazing results. In addition to over 65,000 fine art supplies, choose from over 4,000 free art lessons, oil painting, drawing, acrylics, watercolors, mixed media, and the largest selection of new supplies professionally evaluated and created by artists for artists. Jerry's Artorama has been empowering artists since 1968. We provide reliability, better art supplies, great prices, and exceptional service. The quality of your art matters to us. Hello, everybody. Today, we are doing a painting and drawing stream using Acrylic and Procreate, and Deepti and I are going to draw each other as monsters. If you would like to grow as an artist and you can't afford an art class, we've got everything you need here at Art Prof: critiques, tutorials, and professional development. This should be entertaining.
I'm super excited. I'm Monster Queen, so I will draw a monster any day. Also, I'm just thinking about it. It's kind of funny. I'm lit like I'm about to tell a ghost story, and I also have braids and like a black smock on, and I look like Wednesday Addams from the Addams Family. If anyone in the comments knows what I'm talking about, that was all unintentional, but it all goes with the like kind of spooky monster theme.
So, if
Did you ever watch the Addams Family?
I never did. I saw the movie with Christina Ricci that came out in the 90s, but I never watched the actual TV show.
Yeah, that's her character.
So if any of you want to draw along with us in any media, you can download the reference photos, which are in the video description below, and share what you make in the Art Alongs channel.
Clara, what is your approach?
I was just going to tell you I have a plan.
You do have a plan. Okay, let me know your plan because I'm planless. So
I don't know. You told me before that I always have a plan.
You do always have a plan. And I think that's funny because I kind of never have a plan, which is why we make a good team.
Exactly. Well, I was thinking that the photos of you are not making my life that easy when it comes to making you a monster, because you look cute in all of them.
Okay, well, you picked those photos, so it's not like I picked the photos and I was like, let me look super cute and make Clara look cute. I had nothing to do with it.
Well, so that's why I thought, okay, you have to have something of a plan, because the other issue is I'm not super confident in my acrylic painting skills. And so instead of trying to do something really rendered, I want to do something more expressionistic today, more like trying to channel Max Beckman.
Oh, okay. Wow. Love that. Do you want me to make an ugly face at the camera so you can like...
No, because I'm just going to make you very wide and plump.
There you go. You can draw that.
Exactly.
Look like Frankenstein. That's for all the viewers that want to draw me and aren't satisfied with the photos that you picked. That lives on the internet now forever. Good job, Deepti.
Neil is saying, Prof Lieu, no pencil sketch. I don't like doing pencil sketches before paintings. Am I a weirdo?
You don't do thumbnails?
Well, I normally would. I'm not going to do it today because it's a demo, but when I'm doing like the initial sketch like I'm doing now, I really don't use the pencil. I feel like it's too mechanical. Like it doesn't get me in the mood. I don't know.
That makes sense. Yeah. You want to be like looser.
Well, it just feels like when I'm sketching with pencil, it feels so thin and delicate. And then to go from that to this wide brush, it just feels strange.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you want to stay in kind of the same lane that you're going to end up working in. I think that's a good thing to bring up because a lot of times people do thumbnails in pencil, but then they're working in a different medium. And sometimes it's smarter, like if you still want to do a thumbnail, to do it in the same medium that you're planning on working in your final piece, or maybe even like a similar medium, but something that kind of emulates the same kind of brush stroke or whatever.
Well, I think sometimes people get very stressed about just starting with the painting because they think, oh, well, what if I mess up? And I'm like, but it's a painting. You can just paint right over it. It's so forgiving in that way.
Speaking of painting, Neil's asking, Prof Lieu, how's your relationship with acrylics? Do you still like it? Are you dating it?
We've it took us a while to get to know each other, and it just did not give me a very good first impression back in high school. But now that I've introduced myself to things like matte medium, which Alex Rowe told me about, I'm giving it another shot.
Wow. And that's the growth. That's what growth is.
And by the way, I do want to tell everybody about the paints that I'm using today. And the paints that we're using today, these are called Charvin extra fine acrylics. They were provided by Jerry's Artorama. And also this board that I'm using today, it's called Pastel Board. And it was provided to us by Ampersand. So I'm all over the place today, Deepti. I'm using paints I have never used, and I'm using Pastel Board for acrylic.
Oh, wow. We love to see it. We love to see a fun, exciting combination of stuff. Oh my God, I love how big my cheeks are in yours. We have a question from Yaling. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. What brush are you using, Deepti? I get this question so much. I always use this brush. I'm using you can see on my screen right now, if you go to the brush library, it's in sketching. It's one of the ones that comes with Procreate, and it's 6B pencil. And a lot of times I tell people that and they still don't believe me, but like you have to really like use your Procreate pencil, like your Apple pencil. Like if you tilt it to the side, you get this kind of thicker stroke. If you use the tip, you can get something thinner. So it's really versatile, which is why I like it. It honestly feels like I am drawing with a like real pencil. So I like that one the best.
You know, I've noticed that I'm sort of similar. I don't like using 15 brushes. I find it a little bit confusing.
Yeah, if one brush can do the job, why not?
Exactly. All right, Deepti, you're looking a little voluptuous.
Oh my goodness, I look terrifying.
Oh my God, what happened to me? I like melted.
Of course, if you're giving, you know this about me. I make everything look gloopy and melty.
I love it. So good.
If you're giving me your face, I will make it. I really want, if anyone wants to commission me to do a portrait of them or like their loved ones in this kind of way, that's like a dream job for me. I just want to make everyone look like a gloopy, melting monster portrait. Like imagine giving someone a birthday card that's a portrait of them like this. Oh man, yeah, hit me up. My Instagram is linked right there.
I will make everyone a market for that. Don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, I might be the market because I do that for all my friends. And I think it's hilarious, but I'm like, am I the only one that thinks this is so funny?
Well, you know something? People ask me questions all the time about commissions and how to get them. And honestly, the realistic commissions, like the ones that are supposed to look like the person, those are the worst to do.
Yeah, definitely. Although those are the ones that you always get because that's what people want, unfortunately.
Well, but see, the thing is, I think if you offer commissions that are not about looking realistic, it takes away that need to understand what they look like to themselves, and then you can just have more fun with it.
Yeah, it's like getting a caricature on the streets of New York, like you expect
Yeah.
it to look like a thread of you, but like they put you on the body of like a bikini model or like something really fun. Like, it's like you get it so that you're gonna laugh, and you get it to have that kind of like shock factor, which I think is funny. Because if you want a portrait that looks like you, take a photo. Take a selfie.
Angie says those pastel boards are fabulous from Ampersand. How do they feel to you, Clara? Well, this particular board is actually made for pastel, but I'm using it for acrylic because Ampersand has a lot of boards, and although they're made for particular tools, you can totally use them for other things as well. I mean, it's interesting. It's very grainy on my brush. It doesn't have that flow, but Deepti, I think I want to make you pretty textured, so I think it's gonna help.
I'm excited. Oh my God, I look like a tomato.
This is really fun. I feel like I can't mess it up. You know what I mean?
I love it. I cannot wait. I want to make this my profile picture.
Yes. Well, you might want to wait till I'm done.
Yeah, let's see. But honestly, so far I'm about it.
Well, so for those of you, if you're wondering about the Charvin acrylic paints that I'm using, they're thick, but they're not super thick. So for me, at least, I'm adding some of this golden heavy gel matte just to give it a little bit more body. And Deepti, I'm discovering that I'm finding it hard to paint with straight acrylic paint now that I know about all these fun mediums you can add.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that strange?
Is it because you anyways don't really like straight acrylic paint, so the mediums are just making you like it more? Or do you actually enjoy, like, you actually are gravitating towards acrylic paint when you use those mediums? Like, you like that on its own?
I think I like it on its own. I think it's just making everything so much easier for me.
Would you look at that? She's a believer. She's a believer in acrylics.
I mean, we're not totally committed, but we're getting there.
Still like oils better?
I still like oils better. I'm sorry. Those of you who work with, I just can't help it. I like the way it feels. It's a feel thing.
Hey, to each their own. I hate both of them, so.
Kristen says, I don't have Instagram. Any other way to contact you for the monster commission?
Oh, well, I think my contact information is on our website, correct? Under staff? I believe so.
Well, at the very least, it has your website, which has your contact information.
Yeah. I'm very Googleable. There isn't too many Deepti Menons on this planet. So if you type that in, you'll get my website, the Art Prof website. My email is on there.
Well, so Deepti, one of the things that I'm always telling people about commissions is you have to find something that's distinctive, either in the format or the style of it, so that people don't feel that, oh, that's a commission I can get from anybody.
Right.
I mean, who else does drippy monster commissions?
It's true. It's true. Find me someone who makes work like this, and I'll be surprised. So, Clara, are you just working on this one portrait the whole time?
Yeah, just because, I don't know, painting is slow. It's like no matter what I do, it just always takes forever, and I don't want to feel pressured.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I feel that.
I do have a feeling that this is going to be a total car crash in about 5 minutes.
So what do you mean?
You know that point where you just have enough on the canvas that it's just a mess, and like now you have to clean it up? Like that's sort of the hardest part for me.
I will say the last time we did a similar theme, which was monsters, you had that moment and then you just like stuck with it though, and it turned out awesome. Do you remember that?
It's just the sticking around part is sometimes difficult to do.
Yeah, of course. But that's the good thing about being on a timed stream. It's like you just kind of have to.
Yep.
If you're drawing along with us, let us know in the comments if you're drawing Clara or Deepti and how you're approaching it. Are there parts of our faces that are like sticking out to you guys as like fun things to exaggerate to create monsters? Let us know. I'm curious.
Katya says, Clara, your photos look exactly like my thinking faces. It almost gives a whole story of the process of art. Brainstorming, preparation, hating what you started, making it worse. Eureka, never mind. That's pretty accurate. What did you say?
Yeah, definitely. It's the whole journey. It's the artist's hero's journey.
You know, I just realized I went into this with like no color scheme, and now I'm paying for it.
Oh, you didn't have like a idea of what you were doing for color before coming into it?
Nope.
That's interesting. Yeah, I was actually curious because you were working with like a dark color on kind of a dark surface. And I was like curious what your thought process was with that.
Well, I generally don't like painting on white canvases. It just feels too thin for me. So that's not new. But now I'm thinking that because I have yellow highlights, which is warm, that maybe I should have cool shadows. So I might mix up like a browny purple. I don't know. Lauren would be so disappointed in me for not having a color scheme.
I'm pretty awful with color too. I never think about it.
But your work is so colorful. Like all the animations that you have bright colors.
I know, but there's no thought behind it.
Oh.
I really just, I'm like, yep, this looks fine. Oh, what would this be like? Okay, sure.
Well, by that, do you mean that there's like no color theory stuff, or?
Oh yeah, color theory. Who is she? Never heard of her. Just kidding. But like, yeah, it's definitely. I mean, of course, there's color theory in it because I am like, you know, there's a certain level of like color theory education that I have that just comes naturally to me at this point. So I can't say that there's no like head empty, no thought, but I'm definitely not like sitting there being like, okay, well, I have green, so I should think about introducing a red. But like, yeah, of course that kind of just happens naturally. I mean, you know what I mean, Clara, like after you've been an artist for so long and you have like you've been like educated on color theory for so many years in like an institutionalized setting, it does kind of come to you at a certain point where you understand it naturally, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah. I mean, you just are surrounded by it. So it's hard to not have it there in your mind. Yeah. Even if you're not actively like trying to use it in the moment.
Yeah. So I'd say that I rely on that kind of intuition now, which is really nice. But yeah, generally I'm not really thinking about it too much with like coming up with a palette or something. The nice thing about Procreate, which I will say that I started hating Procreate when I first was using it, and now I kind of love Procreate, is that I can just do something like, okay, so I don't like this green, so I choose a new layer. I pick a color that I do like. I go like boom, and then I just do clipping mask, and now I have it in another color. And it's like, wow, hello, that's amazing. But I do like the green that I was using, so I'm going back to that.
Do you think that had anything to do with that sketchbook stream that you and I did? You know, the one where you were going just like crazy with Procreate?
Oh, where I did that self-portrait. of myself.
Yeah, and you were just like going nuts.
Yeah, I think that's 100% because I was working digitally, because I was able to just like mess with it, and then if I didn't like it, it took like the snap of a finger to get it back to what it was. Whereas like with you, Clara, I was like, yeah, throw some neon pink on there and rip it up. You would be like, let me think about that for a second before I actually do that, because it's kind of irreversible. Whereas on Procreate, everything's kind of reversible. You could duplicate a layer and then mess with the duplicated layer. And then if you don't like that, you still have the original layer that you know, like it's kind of endless, which is awesome.
Well, I wonder if it's because a lot of the streams we did before that stream were more like line drawing character streams. And then the second you had a stream where it was like, do whatever.
Yeah, definitely. I think like do whatever is super freeing, at least for me.
Oh, these paints are very runny. I think I need to really load up on the heavy gel matte. Although it's hard because this yellow is very transparent.
Can you explain to me what matte medium is?
Matte medium is basically something that increases the flow of the acrylic. So if the acrylic isn't spreading very easily, you put the matte medium in and it makes it just move faster. I mean, some people might say, oh, we'll just use water. But the issue with water is that the water really breaks down the paint. Whereas the matte medium, it still has like a certain amount of body in it.
I see. Okay.
So it's handy. I mean, I thought it was a big game changer when I started doing acrylic again.
Right. You started dating acrylic again.
I know. Well, but we're never going to get married. We're just hanging out.
You're just like having a casual summer fling with acrylic.
Exactly. Well, apparently, did you know this, Deepti, that the whole term hanging out has a whole different meaning for Gen X?
What do you mean?
It's more than hanging out. Like hanging out could mean you're dating. Like dating, not just hanging out.
Oh. Wait, like they're exclusively dating, like they're boyfriend and girlfriend, and they say that we're hanging out? Or like girlfriend, whatever. Sorry. Didn't want to be an exclusive there. But like, yeah, they're exclusively dating?
I don't know if you're exclusive, but it's not hanging out. It's hanging out.
I mean, I get that. I've said that before, where like I'm like hanging out with someone.
Like
and I'm okay, no, I wish. No, but yeah, like where you're kind of like not official, you're not sure what you guys are yet, but you're like enjoying each other's company. I think that would be like hanging out, right?
Okay.
Hanging out with a wink.
Maybe that's what it is. I just had one of my former students explain this to me, and I was like, oh my God, this is so confusing.
Well, I do think that as, you know, like with every generation, I feel like dating has gotten to be more casual.
Yeah,
I don't know how
sure.
it was when you were like, you know, dating, but like, did you feel like you were able to date like multiple people at the same time, or was it very like focused on like one person?
Deepti, I didn't date, okay? Like, I was not the person to be asking this question.
Okay, well, in general, did you feel like friends or people that you went to school with, like, were they dating multiple people at the same time, or was it kind of just like a one truck thing?
I think it was a one truck thing. People really didn't. I mean, there was no polyamory back then. I mean, that we talked about out loud, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I see that now a lot with like high schoolers and young people who are dating. It's like people are being super casual about things, which I guess is good. You know, they're exploring what they like, and I don't know.
We have a question from Era. Is there a way for the acrylic paint not to dry fast? Because when I start to blend, it's dry. Is it the issue with the brand, or it's just I'm slow that it dries fast? It's nothing to do with you. That's just the way acrylic paint is, it dries quickly. So what you can buy, they're oftentimes called acrylic retarders or a slow dry medium, and you can add that to your acrylic paint and it does slow down the dry time, and it's a big help. Because to me, it dries way too fast. That's why I like oils, because oils don't dry that quickly.
Clara's married to oils.
We were together forever. I got the engagement ring and everything.
I don't know who I'm married to.
We have a comment from Enraged Conchu. Digital art has spoiled me in that regard. Stuff like fixing mistakes is just so much easier, to the point where Control Z is an impulse of mine. Very helpful, but can build bad habits. Well, what's your take on that, Deepti? Because I do know people who say to me similar things that, like, oh no, I'm such a bad artist because I'm doing undo all the time. Is this spoiling or ruining me?
I don't think so. I think it's just like, you know, going with the flow of what the industry and what art is becoming. You know, there's digital art is just the thing that's happening, and that doesn't mean you're any less talented. I think that having a practice in both is really good, because I mean, I empathize with that. I really wasn't a digital artist before I started doing a lot of work for Art Prof. I mean, I animate digitally, but I think that's a little different. But yeah, I think that I've definitely done that before, where I'm like drawing on a piece of paper and I'll tap with 2 fingers to undo, which is what like Procreate is. And I'm like, oh, wait, that's not how real life works. But I just think that like if digital art is what fuels you and makes you excited to create, I think then that's what you should be doing. And you should be drawn to a medium. If you are drawn to a medium, definitely like go towards it. What else was I going to say? But yeah, I think doing both is always good. You know, always working traditionally. I think there's some value in that. What do you think, Clara?
I mean, I am a big fan of just trying everything, because I think that that makes you a more well-rounded artist, which is, in my opinion, never a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's only a problem if you feel like it's a problem. Like if you're doing that all the time and you're just like, oh, this is bad, then maybe you should take a step back. Because you know what I found, Deepti? This happens a lot in the Discord. A lot of times people ask me questions and I'm like, you already know the answer to this, don't you? They're like, yeah, I know. I just need somebody to tell me. It's kind of like that.
We have a comment from Caspa Life that says, to me, Control Z is like having the safety of the eraser. But I think that working without an eraser with traditional medium sometimes is more intuitive in the first place. I think that's a really good comment.
But also, it's hard to say, because like I didn't grow up with digital. And so I don't feel like I have a very good handle on the pros and cons, just because I don't understand it enough to really be able to comment.
Yeah. That's interesting. I do think like from that sketchbook stream that you were talking about, Clara, like working digitally definitely loosens me up in a way that I've realized it's really great for me personally, working in a sketching manner or like an experimental manner, because I feel like everything is so reversible that I'm able to just kind of go head first and be super loose and not care as much. Which I think a lot of times on Art Prof, I see that like a lot of people ask me like, how do you get comfortable throwing things away or not caring or this or that? And I think that like if you have that hesitation to just like go 150% when you're thumbnailing or experimenting or sketching, working digitally can really help that, because you can always just like Control Z, undo, and go back to what you had before. Like that kind of intuition and spontaneity might come easier. Oh, but then we have this comment from, I was going to just say, we have this comment from Caspa that says, having the undo button makes me feel more timid with making mistakes with digital, opposite of me. That's so interesting. I wonder why that makes you more timid. But yeah, for each their own, you know, do what makes you feel free.
I guess for me, it really helps to feel like I know how to fix something, because actually today I was editing this tutorial that we shot with Song Kang, who actually was in the same freshman class as Deepti
Yeah,
at
I love
RISD.
Song. She's so talented.
Oh my God, she's amazing. And she explained that a lot of the visual effects that she puts into her drawings, which I think are amazing, are from trying to fix mistakes. Like she made something way too dark and decided to add matte medium on top to compensate. And it's like if she hadn't made those mistakes, she wouldn't have experimented with all those materials.
Wow, I love that. I didn't know that about her process.
Yeah. You wouldn't think it, because you look at her work and it's so accomplished, but actually a lot of it was like because she screwed something up and had to figure out a way to make it look better.
There's a lot of different opinions in the comments. Maria Kilson is saying, I find it so interesting when people say that digital loosens them because they can feel free. For me, traditional is very freeing. A cheap paper and a pencil and I can do whatever. I love that. Yeah, I think that knowing what works for you is the most important thing. There's no right or wrong in what the best way to be experimental and free is. It's really just what works for you. And just trying a bunch of different things will help you figure that out. And then once you know it, bada bing, bada boom, baby, there you go.
Deepti, I need help.
Why? Oh my gosh. I look so funny. I look like I was stung by a bee on both my cheeks.
Ow.
But I'm still happy. Oh my gosh. I think, have you seen the movie Hitch where Will Smith gets stung by a bee? Yeah, yes. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting right now.
That's like Jordan's favorite movie, other than Spider-Verse.
I know. I think that makes sense. That feels very like Jordan, like just like fun and light and silly. I love that movie. I think it's so funny. I love Will Smith. I think he's such a little treasure.
You know something? I've seen him in those action movies like Independence Day and everything, but he's like really good in rom-coms. He's so cute.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think comedy is his first kind of muscle, like from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like he's such a great comedian, which I think is like a testament to how talented he is because he can do drama really well too.
Hey, Deep, do you want fangs?
Yeah, definitely.
Let's do it.
You don't even have to ask. I love fangs. Vampire Queen.
Oh, I love vampires. Like any TV show with vampire, I will watch it.
Really? Like,
yes.
What? What? I did not know that about you. Hold on. What vampire shows are you watching?
Well, I haven't watched one in a while, but the summer that my daughter was born, I watched all seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I think there's like 7.
Okay, yeah, iconic. Such a good show.
Yes. And then True Blood.
Are you into like Twilight?
No, I like True Blood from HBO, Buffy, and then the sequel, which was called Angel. That was good too.
Okay, interesting. I did not know this about you. I'm glad I do now. So does the whole internet. That's so interesting. How did I not know this about you? Another thing I love about working digitally is like now I want to try and throw in some other color, and I'm just going to do it on a different layer because if I hate it, I can just get rid of that layer.
You know something? I think the thing that would push me to do digital is if I was a freelance illustrator. I think I would totally switch to all digital. Because art directors, they're always like, oh, can you change this blue? And it's like, if you do that in an oil painting, it really does take forever.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and it's so much more expensive. Like digital, you're not really like, you're spending money for like the licensing of the program probably, but like you're not spending money on like materials. And if they ask for edits and stuff, you have to go buy more blue or you have to go buy the right color, which is just not like feasible unless they have like a crazy budget for you.
But also, I think for a lot of editorial work, the turnaround time is so fast. Like, somebody told me that if you want to freelance editorial stuff for, say, like the New York Times, that if you don't reply to the art director within like 15 minutes, they move on to somebody else.
Oh gosh, yeah. Freelancing is such a headache. I realized I learned the other day that I'm like severely undercharging my day rate. Like my day rate is like way too low for what the norm is. And I was like, oh,
really?
Gosh, really? Great. That's good to know.
I'm curious for people in the chat, how many of you have been in a situation where you were like, oh my God, I undercharged. I should have charged more?
You know, I was thinking about when I first moved to New York, what I was charging. And it is so low, like horrifically low. And I just wish I could go back to myself then and be like, what were you like, to think that I could have gotten like hundreds and hundreds of more dollars for that stuff that I was doing. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
But don't you think that's somewhat inevitable? I mean, like, how can you ever start out knowing exactly what to charge? It's really hard.
Well, I do think that like having conversations about it really opens it up. Like, I mean, who is really benefiting from people not talking about how much they make? It's the employer, you know, like the person who's paying you. And I think that I was talking to some friends yesterday about this, and I do think, at least in like my circle of animators, people are being really like open about, like, if you ask them like, hey, how much do you charge? They just tell you. Like, there's no kind of hush hush about it, which I'm like, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It's like, it's, you know, I think that as freelancers, it only behooves us to like tell each other how much we're making, because that kind of sets the bar. And then if everyone's asking for this amount that we deserve, that's what people will start paying. Like, I had no idea that I was undercharging myself until everyone I was with were like, no, I make this much. I make this much. I make this much. And I was like, oh, well, good to know, because I do this. And, you know, and I mean, of course, it's not like go yell it from a rooftop, but like with people you trust and like in your community and stuff, I think. So I've seen it a lot more. And I think that like the only person that's like, you know, not benefiting from that are the companies that are not paying you what you should be getting paid. So I've seen it a lot more in like the illustration and animation industry. So yeah, I think everyone should, you know, think about that and like talk about salaries and be more open about it, because I mean, maybe there's a downside to it, but I really don't see a downside to it as like a working professional. I think I've only ever either helped a friend get paid more or myself learned that I should be charging more. One of my first jobs when I moved to New York, I remember I got hired on the same day from a really good friend of mine who just graduated with me from the same program at RISD on the same day. So we were like completely on par, and we got hired for the same job. And I just said yes to the hourly rate that they asked for, and she asked for $2 more. And I didn't know that, and she told me that. And if she hadn't told me that, I would have just been getting paid less than her, even though we were doing the same job. But I remember she told me, she was like, hey, by the way, I asked for more money. So if you didn't, here's what I asked for. And they said yes. And if you asked for more, like, can you let me know? And I was like, oh my goodness, thank you for telling me, because I would have just done that job for less money, even though I could have gotten more. And I thought that was really like kind of her and awesome that she did that. So yeah, I think that's important as like freelance artists, because we always, it's, you know, kind of a pandemic that we get underpaid constantly.
I think you're right about that. And also, I know in art school, nobody wanted to talk about it. It was like taboo to like talk about how much you sold something for. And I'm like, you know, basically, like you said, it's like artists should know, hey, you can get paid this amount for this kind of work, and it's not unreasonable, because a lot of us do undersell ourselves. Really, we do. And like nobody is like, it's so rare. It happened recently to me where I told someone my day rate and they were like, I'm going to pay you this much, which is a little bit more, because that's like too low. And I was like, oh my God, thank you for even saying that. But like, you know, if you undersell yourself, rarely is anyone going to be like, no, you deserve to be paid more. They're just going to be like, oh my God, amazing. This is great. So
Yeah.
Maria says, I think art has a problem with talking money, no matter the country you're talking about. Everyone I heard talking about it says that is all very hush-hush, and that only works against us all. I totally agree. And that's why in a lot of the streams here, I try to be fairly upfront about how much. Like, I've never sold a painting for more than 2,000, and that was only once in my life. It's not like I'm selling paintings left and right. So I feel like, as far as amounts go, for somebody with my experience, it's not that impressive. Like, I have friends, Deepti, who have sold paintings for 20K, and I'm like, I'm not there.
Yeah. But I mean, it's good to know that, you know, like, it's good to know that that exists and what the low end and high end of like stuff is. Like, the person I was talking to yesterday was telling me that, like, you know, it varies region to region. Like in New York, animators get paid higher, like their day rates are often higher because it's just more expensive to live here. And so that's kind of what you get. And I was like, oh, wow, like I didn't know that, because a lot of people I was talking to about rates were my friends who lived in other cities, like in San Francisco, or like something where I guess the median rate is like lower. So that's like something smart to do too, is like talk to people who are in your region and in your specific community industry, because that could affect how you should be charging yourself as well. I mean, there's so many things to think about. And a lot of times, you know, art school doesn't teach you this stuff. It's like really about talking to people or being a part of a community that's like fostering that stuff, because that's important. You should get paid, and you should get paid like what you deserve and then some, like not just like skating by kind of payment, you know?
Yeah, and you're right about the city thing, because I'm in Salt Lake City now, and I haven't done any in-person lectures yet, obviously, because of the pandemic. But I was like, I don't think I can charge what I used to charge in Boston.
But then sorry, I like couldn't talk for a second. But then again, you never know, you know, like,
That's true.
It would be amazing if people were just like super upfront about it, and you could be like, okay, so this is what it, you know, things go for here, instead of having to like guess. Because then if you undersell yourself, the only thing you're doing is like hurting other people, because you're setting the bar like super low. And then other people will be like, well, I won't hire you because I can hire someone else for cheaper. And then we're in just this toxic circle, and it doesn't make any sense.
Awesome. I mean, I'm also at a point too where I just am tired of being underpaid. So I'm just like, okay, if I don't get that gig because they don't want to pay, fine. Go ahead. Go find somebody else.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. If you aren't willing to pay, like, I don't have a plentiful amount of time. Like, I will find someone else who will pay me.
This is another good comment from Brittany, who says, I also think that trying to lower your rates to attract more clients hurts your peers. Oh, yes. Because then people have the perception that they can get away with paying that.
Yep. 100%.
Although, Deepti, I've definitely heard some not so nice stories about people underbidding their friends. Like, somebody, this illustrator, they found out what one of their friends quoted for a company and then went and bid lower, and they got the job, and their friend lost the job. It's like, that's not nice.
Oh my gosh, who does that?
Yeah, isn't that rude?
Oh no, that is no.
Yeah.
No.
And
that's so
this person, they were sort of proud of themselves for doing this. I was like, are you kidding? Like, that's such backstabbing behavior.
Yeah, no, I'm like a strong believer of, if your friends and peers are doing well and like climbing up and getting what they deserve, that's a reflection on you, and you will also be brought up. And like, that's all about building healthy community. And like forget about competition. Like that's like so unhealthy, that kind of competition. Like as artists, I think we're all so unique that like we really should be helping one another and not worrying about like competing with one another. And yeah, you're like a reflection of the people that you put yourself around. So if they're all doing great and you're helping each other, then you're going to do great. So be kind and help each other and secure that bag, folks.
Oh my god, I just gave you teeth.
Ah!
Oh my god.
I look like a baby vampire. Oh, okay. I'm obsessed with this.
I confess I'm having a lot of fun right now.
Yeah, see, you've powered through the awkward phase and now it just looks awesome.
Well, I'm feeling very self-conscious about my brush work, but that's just a personal hang-up I have.
Yeah. I don't see that at all. I think it looks awesome.
I'm just having a little trouble because the white is not that thick with this paint brand. And so I'm trying to thicken it up, but it's not wanting to do that for me.
Simon Angelica said, "Oh, baby Deeptula."
That's who you are.
Ayane is asking, Clara, why are you putting the orange spots on Deepti's face? Is it for color vibration?
I guess I put it down because I want it to work against the blue reflected light. And I thought that would be a good balance. It's a little patchy right now, but I prefer things being patchy in the beginning because if I try to blend too soon, I find it hard to manage. Yeah, I guess that's my only reason.
John Murph is saying, I undersell myself because I don't feel like my art is up to that caliber, but I can see what you're talking about hurting others with cheap prices. What do you think about that, Clara, in the terms of like underselling because you don't think your work is up to a certain caliber?
I think that our perception of however, quote, good of an artist we are is never, well, there's no right. You know what I mean? Because it's like, are you the right fit for that job? But a lot of times it's not because you're a good artist. It's because you have the certain skill set that they need for that gig. So I think a lot of jobs, they're about fit. They're not about, oh, this person's a better painter.
Right.
I mean, I think the same thing about college, that it's not that, oh, this college is the best. And if you go to this college, everything will work out. It's like, no, this college is the best for this person, and this college is bad for this person.
Right.
So I don't think it's that black and white because people disagree over which artists are good.
Yeah, exactly. Like I find that with my work is it's very polarizing. Like some people love my work and then some people think my work is like a disgrace. You know, and like, I mean, yeah, there's been comments on some of our videos where people are like, how could you draw that princess in such a hideous way or like whatever? And I'm like, well, yeah, I can understand that perspective, but like other people think that this is great and hilarious. So you just have to find who's willing to pay you. But like, you know, at the end of the day, your work is worth at least a minimum of something because you're putting in that time and labor. So remember that.
And also, if the client really thinks you're that bad, they're not going to hire you. Like, if you hire somebody, it's because you think they can do it. You're not going to hire somebody who you truly think, oh, they are so incompetent. They are never going to do this job. If I felt that way, I just wouldn't hire you, you know?
Right. Yeah. And I think that if they really wanted you, but you were out of their budget, they would still try and work with you and like tell you that. You know, I think that you should ask for what you think you deserve. And if it's out of their budget, I think that that conversation can happen. But don't undersell yourself before really needing to. Because you might not ever have to.
I think you have to undersell yourself a bunch of times before you realize, oh, I shouldn't do that.
Blue is asking, has anyone ever given the I don't want to do it price and they had a client say, okay? I think what they mean by that is like, have you ever just been like, here's an exorbitant amount of money? because I know you'll never say yes to this. And because I don't want to do it, but then the client actually ends up saying yes. I've had that happen to me once before, which was kind of like one of those situations where I was like, whoa, what? But also like, oh, dang, I really didn't want to do this. And now I have to do it.
Oh. I guess
Have you,
I
Clara?
don't do that because I'm worried that they'll say yes. And if it's something I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this, then I'm like trapped. So I guess I just won't.
Yeah, I guess for me, it's like, it's one of those situations where I'd be like, okay, if they said yes to this, yeah, I'd do it because that's like worth it. But other than that, like probably not.
I don't know. I mean, my time is so precious now that for me to take on like a gig that's a commission, it's got to be like $50,000. Like I just like can't make the space for it right now.
Right.
And some gigs are like that, where it's like, is this really worth the hassle that it's going to put me through?
I don't know what I did to your body, Clara.
Oh my God, what happened? Oh my God, I really like my face though. I like my cheekbones. I feel like my cheekbones look so good.
They are good. You have great cheekbones. I'm gonna maximize and go back to the face, but I wanted to add a little bit of body in there before I...
Agus says, I'm a professional graphic designer. Like I literally have a degree, struggle a lot to get any jobs because there's always someone who, quote, knows how to use a computer and does it for cheaper. Well, I will say, I think in industries like graphic design, I mean, you got to be on the technology because, oh my gosh, people are so unforgiving about that. Have you found that to be the case, Deepti, with software?
Have I found the case that like you need to be really on top of it with the software? Sorry, could you repeat that question?
Yeah, just like, you know, for me, it doesn't matter. Acrylic paint will always be the same, but it's like in animation and graphic design, it's like if you don't keep up with the latest updates, it can be really hard.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I do think that you kind of have to either be super on top of it and just know what's happening, or you just kind of have to be super unique and a master of what you do. Like there are certain animators who there's like this animator called Peter Millard, and he works with acrylic paint on paper and has a really specific aesthetic. And like, I know he gets commissions because people love what he does. And I think it like persists even through technological advances or whatever. And there's like another artist named Rough Mercy who does digital art for music videos, but his aesthetic is very like consistent and has been through years. And I mean, there has been some development variation, but I think he has a very specific style that I don't think people are like, oh, well, we want it to like be with the times. Like I think people reach out to him because of his specific style. So I think that if you can find that niche and find people who like really are looking out for you for like what you want or for what you create, that can, you know, ride past that wave of like needing something super relevant or like on the nose with what's happening right now. Sorry, I don't know if any of that made sense. It was a little rambly.
It does. I mean, I do think a lot of being an artist in the professional world, a lot of it's just an ongoing hustle, and it's exhausting. I mean, don't you feel that?
Clara, I am exhausted 24/7. Like, I don't know I especially as a freelancer, because like you never have downtime. Even when you have a week off, it's a week on because you're just looking for your next thing, you know? So many times I've been like, oh my God, I'm just going to sell my soul to the corporate world and just have some stability. But then I know that I would hate that and I don't want to do that. But yeah, it's exhausting. It's like the hustle never ends. And people really don't understand that. Like, I don't remember the last time I've had a weekend. Yeah. I cannot remember the last time I had like 2 consecutive days off where I did absolutely nothing work related. Like years. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I love it and I love what I do and I think it's worth it. But like, yeah, I'd like to have a weekend one day.
Well, you know what I spent my morning doing?
Baking?
No, I wish. I sent out, I'm not joking, I think 50 emails trying to get sponsors.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yes, see, that's the art prof hustle.
Well, because, a lot of people are so nice and they want to help us. And so I get a lot of comments on the YouTube channel. People are like, oh, you should get some sponsors. I'm like, I'm trying. It's really hard to get sponsors. Like, it is not.
Super hard.
Even when you get them to respond, you have to like babysit every single client. You have to like explain everything. It's so much work.
Right. Yeah. And like a rate sheet sometimes helps if you like are a freelancer to just be like, here is a rate sheet. Here's what I charge. Everything's explained.
Yeah, that's what I have. Like we just have a media kit that people can use. But even then, like sometimes I'll send out the media kit, and I'm not joking, Deepti. Today somebody was like, I don't understand this. Can you explain it to me? I was like, oh, like, come on.
Yeah, you really have to spoon feed people.
And then there's always like some funny, weird thing with every client. And, like most clients are pretty good, but there's always like something that they want you to do. And you're just like, oh.
Oh my God, I love her painting of me. I want it.
I think you look very squishy, don't you think?
I love it. I love my little snaggletooth, my little vampire face. I actually look so sweet. Like I kind of like love her. She just looks like she needs a little bit of dental work, but other than that, we love her.
I need to make it thicker. It's just I don't have a good thick white. I'm gonna have to like go through my stuff later and see if I can.
I think you need to make her scarier.
Yeah, how do I do that?
I don't know. Maybe give her some crazy eyes.
Maybe I can work on like exaggerating the eyes a little bit more because they're a little bit tame.
Yeah, they look kind, which, it's hard to stray away from how kind my eyes naturally are.
Oh,
I'll say, you're working with a very sweet subject matter. It's hard to make her look scary, but just kidding.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add like some details in between your eyebrows. That always does it.
Yeah, like the little like.
Yes. Better watch what you wish for, Deepti.
I never hate looking terrifying. You know that about me.
That's true.
The more terrifying, the better. I always say.
Maria says it's an emotionally and mentally draining way to live. Yeah, actually, when Eloise first joined Art Prof a couple of years ago, I remember one of the first things Eloise said to me was, Clara, you know how to hustle. I was like, yep, I don't really have a choice. This is just what it is.
Yeah. I mean, Art Prof would not be here without Clara's hustle. Believe that.
Well, a lot of it, actually, the harder part was just dealing with all the naysayers. That was the hardest thing. Like, yeah, it's annoying to have to deal with advertisers or whatever, but it's more like, it was more like all the crap I got for so long. Like, that was the harder thing, I think.
But doesn't it feel good now to be like, ha 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 ha. Look at our cool community.
There isn't a single day, Deepti, that goes by
where you're not rubbing it in someone's face. Good. I'm glad for you. I want you to rub it in their faces.
It's all about spite.
We're a very vengeful
what
bunch.
Motivates me. Oh, I think revenge is great. Like Count of Monte Cristo revenge, not like, oh, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to give you a thicker lip. You think that'll help? Ew, your lip is kind of gross looking.
Yeah, I look like I have a gigantic cold sore.
Ew, that's so gross. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. What has baby Frankenstein Deepti been up to? What did I say? Oh yeah, baby Deeptula.
Deeptula.
Deepti, like
That's her
Dracula,
name.
yeah.
Yes.
Deeptula. Baby Deeptula.
Cosba says, Professor Lieu, thank you so much for Art Prof. I discovered you this year and shared your channel with all my students. You are truly an inspiration. Keep going no matter the naysayers. Well, it helps when all of you tell us we're awesome, because it's awesome. Like, I just need that. Everybody needs that now and then, you know?
Yeah, and thank you so much for sharing it with people. Like, that's the biggest thing that people can do for us, other than, you know, supporting us on Patreon and other things. Like, if you aren't able to donate money, which is amazing, you can always just share Art Prof with your friends and your community, because that helps us get views on Instagram, or sorry, on YouTube. That helps our, you know, community just get stronger. And that's the whole point of Art Prof, is to build a community for people that they don't have to pay for. So yeah, thank you for sharing. That's like amazing.
You know, Deepti, even though everybody's all about social media now, understandably so, they say that word of mouth is still incredibly powerful.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm like constantly like looking on New York Times bestseller list to like read a book. But then if someone's like, "Hey, Deepti, you should read this book," I'll read that book. You know,
Yeah.
I'll read the book that people recommend to me way before I'll read like something that the internet is telling me that I should read. Word of mouth is super powerful.
You ever see that movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
Oh my God, too many times to count. Yeah.
That movie was like exactly my life growing up. Like everything down to like being made fun of for your lunch. That was totally my life growing up.
Really?
But
That's funny.
they said the reason that that movie was such a smash hit was because it spread like wildfire in the Greek community.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was, I mean, I don't know. It came out when I was really young, but I'm sure it was one of the first of its kind to kind of shine a light on that community, or be so specific, I guess, to some person's narrative that it was so relatable. Lisa H is saying Deeptula is allergic to type A. We have a comment from...
I need to smudge more. Go ahead.
Becky is saying, "You are awesome. I look forward to your stream each night." Thank you for watching. That's really awesome. You're awesome. Thank you for looking forward to our streams. We have a comment from Katya that says, "I love this idea because I can finally blame bad proportions to the prompt and not my lack of skill. Very useful. Thank you very much." Honestly, that's why most of my work looks the way it does, because I'm like, yeah, I wanted it to look like that. John Murph is asking, would you have someone haggle the price of your artwork? I don't really sell like artwork, so I don't really have much experience with that. But Clara, you've sold paintings and stuff. What are your thoughts on that?
It really depends on the place. Because if you're showing at like an art fair, like one of those places where, okay, every artist has a booth and you can sell your work and you're talking directly to the customers. Yeah, I mean, people do that all the time. It's like buying produce at a market in Italy. Like a lot of people haggle. But if you're selling through a gallery, the price is the price. Any haggling that would happen would be with the gallery director, and that's not that common or professional.
Right. Lillian is asking, what do you think the worst thing about oil paint is? Ooh.
I think it's just the hazard of it, that it's so much cleanup. And the cleanup does affect your ability to paint, because if you have a big mess, and your brushes are all dirty and everything, it can be really hard to like have clean colors. So yeah, it's really just the cleanup. The materials are expensive. It's not convenient because it takes forever. I mean, one of my friends only paints in oils and it takes her forever to finish stuff. I mean, it's worth it because she does amazing work, but it's like, it really does take a long time.
Yeah, I don't have much experience working with paint, but I can imagine that I would have a similar qualm with how much cleanup it is, and even setup. I feel like it's kind of a lot for setup.
Yeah, it is a lot for setup for sure. Did you ever take painting in school? I wasn't sure.
No, the first kind of art I ever did, or the first art class I ever did, was oil painting as like a little kid.
Oh.
So I do have experience with it, but it was like so kind of like basic, and I liked it. I really enjoyed doing it. But it was very, level 1, 8-year-old kind of oil painting.
I mean, a lot of people tell me, oh, I really, really want to learn to use oils. And they'll say to me, oh, but I don't have any facility and I don't have this, this, and this. And I'm like, I don't think you should be oil painting in your bedroom. It's not worth the hassle.
No, not at all.
I mean, oils are great, but it's like there's a lot of other media out there that's just as cool. I mean, it's not the same, but you can learn to paint in other ways.
Lillian is also asking, why are acrylics cheaper than oils? Is it the process?
I don't know. I mean, I suspect it's something that has to do with pigments and how costly those are. I mean, pigments cost different amounts. It depends on the pigment. I don't really know to be precise. That's just a guess.
Right.
I wish I'd layered up the paint more. I feel like it's not thick enough for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no. See, this is one thing Procreate does that I don't like, is if you zoom in past the borders of your canvas, it just gets rid of what was past the borders.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so as you can see, the body that I drew for you just got cut off.
Why did it do that? That's really annoying.
It's just like a thing about Procreate. Kind of hate that.
Yeah, that I'm not a fan of. Ooh, should I pull an Alex? Should I put Naples yellow where I want to put white?
Ooh, yeah, do it. Clearly, Alex is inspiring you a lot tonight, so just run with that, I suppose.
Like, I'm just going to blob it on. This is so not what I typically do.
Yay for doing things that are not typical.
Well, that's why I like doing these streams, because I'm like, hey, I'm doing my job, but I also get to have playtime. Let me see if I can.
Weirdly, the one that you're doing of me like really does look like me, I feel like.
No, it doesn't. Oh, come on.
I do think it looks like me, like in a fun way. Or the photo. I know exactly what photo you're referencing, which I think is impressive.
I don't know. I don't feel like you're a monster. I feel like it's more a caricature than it is a monster.
Yeah. I think I've made you a monster.
Yeah. Yeah, you have. I love my foot. It's awesome.
A giant foot.
Okay, so Phyllis says the cost of waste disposal to manufacture oil paint is partly why it's expensive. Oh, yeah. Ugh, that must be a lot. I mean, I always felt bad whenever I taught like a beginning oil painting class, giving out the supply list. I mean, you're asking people to like really break the bank if they've never bought anything with oils before. It's so expensive, that first list.
Yeah. I mean, that's art school in a nutshell. I remember really being like, whoa, this is expensive. The first day, I was like, why do I need all of these things? And honestly, sometimes teachers are putting things on that supply list that you really don't need to buy.
I hated that. That was such a pet peeve of mine. Like, you buy all this stuff and then you would not use half the list. It was so annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, I was so anal about my supply list for that reason, because I didn't want to be one of those teachers.
Yeah, I remember in your class, I used up everything that you told us to buy, like to the end.
Actually, you know, the RISD store manager really liked me. Because I would actually like specify what I wanted the students to get. You know, because some teachers are like, get white paper. And you're like, what kind?
White paper. Oh my God. There's like 5 million white papers at the RISD store.
Oh no, you know what my favorite is, Deepti? Get good paper. That's a good one. Get good paper.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was lucky. I didn't have any teachers that were that vague about their supplies. I got some pretty intensely specific ones, which were good.
Alex Rowe really knows his stuff. I feel like the Naples yellow was the opacity I was looking for.
Alex Rowe does know his stuff.
I mean, I knew
That's
that
why
about
we keep
him.
him
It's not
around.
news. I know. Actually, he's taking June off. So a lot of you, sorry, you're going to have to wait till July to see Alex Rowe again.
Oh, Alex.
I know.
He will be missed.
Okay, I feel like my colors are verging on getting muddy, but I kind of don't care.
I kind of love your colors.
I feel like you got really green, though. Like, I started adding all these greens at the end, and it just sort of got a little out of control.
We have a comment from my father that says, Deepti would pass as Chucky's girlfriend. I think I would, yeah. Thanks,
Yes.
Dad.
That's awesome.
I think I'm cuter than Chucky, though. Like, if I saw this creature out in public, I'd be like, oh, wow, yeah, you look a little messed up. But I would approach her. I would be like, okay, like, what's your situation? Who hurt you? Who stung you? Like, what's wrong? Chucky, I would be out the door at 100 miles per hour. No interest in talking to Chucky, you know?
No, me either.
But like Deepti is like kind of sweet looking.
I love it. Do you watch horror movies? I wasn't sure if they were your thing.
Yeah, I love horror movies.
So what's your favorite one?
I really like that movie It Follows. It's kind of not super horror-y. I mean, it's scary, but it's not like The Exorcist. I don't like that stuff. That stuff's just like too intense. Yeah, I like the movie It Follows. I like psychological thrillers more than I like horror, but yeah, I really like that movie It Follows. I like it also because I think it's interesting, like setting-wise. If people haven't seen it, it kind of feels like it takes place in like the 70s, but it also has a bunch of like modern day technology in it. It's kind of this weird, like in-between world, which I thought was really interesting, just as like a cinematic choice. So yeah.
I guess. I mean, I like psychological thrillers. I don't like Nightmare on Elm Street type stuff, but I like Aliens. Like, I will watch Aliens just over and over.
Oh yeah, I love alien stuff.
I mean, the first two. I won't really watch.
Oh, like the actual alien movies? Yeah. Are those horror though? I feel like they're like sci-fi. I mean, they're pretty horrific. Yeah, they're pretty scary. Yeah, I mean, Sigourney Weaver is like so cool too.
I love her.
What's another horror movie that I watched recently?
You know what was scary? The Sixth Sense. You ever see that movie?
Yeah. Or like Signs. the M. Night Shyamalan movie. That's like not horror, but it's pretty scary. And like his other film, there was like that other film that he made, The Visit, with like those grandparents. I thought that was so scary.
John Murph says, Deepti as Clara's painting is Shrek's ex-girlfriend.
I think that makes sense. I do kind of look ogre-esque.
Did you ever read the original Shrek book?
No.
So a lot of people don't know that the original Shrek book was a children's book, and it was written by William Steig. And the book is really nasty compared to the movie. Like, the movie is super sanitized. And so you know Shrek's queen later, and she's horrible looking in the book. It's awesome.
Oh my gosh, I want to see that. I love the animated Shrek movie. I think it's so good. The music in it is really good too.
One of my kids had the children's book memorized when she was 3. She couldn't read, but she had the book memorized. It was so funny.
Wow. From like hearing it out loud, like read to her?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's so amazing.
Oh, it's incredible what toddlers can do. I mean, she also had that Shel Silverstein book, The Missing Piece Meets the Big O. We have a recording of her just saying it out loud without reading it.
Wow, that's incredible. What a memory she has.
Well, we did read it to them over and over and over again. It's just, oh my God. I mean, my husband was so patient about it, and I just was not. And also, sometimes the kids, they're like really aggressive about it. Like my younger one, if she wanted me to read her something, she just would like throw the book at me and be like, read. And I'm like, okay.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. I can see her doing that.
Yeah, can you see her? Yeah, exactly. That's totally worth it.
Knows what she wants. I respect that.
Katya says, Clara, have you seen The Fly? My parents were about 8 when they first watched it, and they are still traumatized. Yes, I did see The Fly. That movie is horrifying. Have you seen that? The one with Jeff Goldblum?
No.
It's so disgusting because he like basically turns into a fly and like chunks of his face are falling off. It's so horrible.
Yeah, see, I don't need that in my life. Like I don't like weird bodily things. I don't like that. I'm like, yeah, that's gross to me. But I'm like, I don't know, I don't really get scared that easily. Like I'm pretty good at like after watching a scary movie, I don't really let it like sit with me. I'm good at being like, okay, goodbye. But I think part of that might be because I went to film school, and I feel like whenever I watch films, I'm like very analytical about it. And I'm like, oh, that was a cool shot. Or I'm like analyzing someone's like performance. I'm like, oh, that, you know, that felt a little bit too dramatic for that moment. So I feel like I never get like super like immersed in it. But I really, you know what I like is I like the Scream movies. I think those are fun.
Those are good. Those are pretty scary.
Yeah, and there was a new one that came out like recently, like maybe like a few years ago, that I thought was actually really good and really fun, that Jamie Lee Curtis was in.
Oh, I don't think I saw that, but I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like she came back as like her same character, but like with she had like a daughter and like same situation with the Scream movies are fun. I really like those. As I'm talking about it, I'm like, I want to watch them again.
Well, I feel like watching Aliens now.
Mm-hmm.
There's just certain movies you just can watch them over and over and over again.
Oh yeah, this one, A Clockwork Orange. I've never seen that, but people have told me that like I shouldn't watch it, so I'm not going to. But I've heard
it's horrifying.
Yeah, horrifying for like no good reason. Like I've heard it's like kind of bad, horrifying.
We would love it for all of you to join us in the Art Prof Discord. Deepti and I are going to do a stage session. super fun sessions. We're all on voice, and it's just a chill session. We talk about everything. So you'll want to meet us in the post live streams stage channel. And we're also going to use post live streams where people can post stuff. We changed it. We used to have art alongs, but we merged it with post live streams to make it a little bit easier for people to find us. And if you're not on the Discord, you better join, because if you don't join, you're not cool. And don't you want to be cool? I wasn't cool in high school, and I just need to be cool now. Subscribe to our channel so you can continue to grow as an artist. Leave us a comment, like the video, help us out with the YouTube gods. And a big thank you to our top Patreon supporters. I don't need to appease any of you. You are all behind us all the time, and we greatly appreciate your support and contribution. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.